Hello, this is Pip Nixon. I'm here doing my Films in 5. I have a special guest star, which I've had before. This is my best mate, Chris Chapman, who's a media professional, in case you didn't know that. Our topic of discussion today is, are we sick of Marvel movies? We predicate this with the fact that I spent a fortune watching Marvel movies. I can't be that sick of them because I keep paying money to see them.
How many do you think we've seen now? Have they made about 20 of these things?
I think I've seen them all. Have I seen them all?
I've seen them all now. I missed Doctor Strange at the cinema.
Right.
Got that on DVD.
I saw Doctor Strange.
I've seen them all now.
Yeah, even if you count the original Incredible Hulk with Ed Norton as the Hulk,
And they do count that.
That's one, isn't
official,
it? Yeah. No, I think I've seen them all. I think I am sick of them. I think that's my main take here. The last couple of things like Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, the Avengers 2, there's a general feeling that they have got into a groove, I think, of making films which are okay, but never bad, but never really good. It's like they become unadventurous, like they're quite flat, and they only have to take a good amount of money rather than being huge blockbusters in order to be justified. So something like Ant-Man, I remember at the time there was a big fuss over how Terminator Genesis had made the same amount of money, hadn't it? But Ant-Man is guaranteed to be a sequel because of Marvel. I don't watch any of the TV stuff because I'm not interested. The ones that are up and coming, you've got like Thor 3, haven't you? Thor 2 was really awful. You got the new Avengers movie, and the last Avengers movie was really awful. What else are they making? Ant-Man 2. That has got the girl from Lost that I quite fancy in it, so I'll probably see that. But and Black Panther is coming out, hasn't it?
Oh,
Which
yes,
looks
yes,
maybe a bit different, maybe a bit more interesting, but I don't know. Overall, and Doctor Strange was just a bit. It felt completely generic to me, very formulaic. You could have written it yourself before you'd even gone in. So my general feeling is that I've had enough, and I'm going to tell them to stop. What do you think?
I think there's still a lot of public goodwill there. I think the idea that they can take something like Doctor Strange that's not a property people really know, and it can make lots of money. There's still obviously people.
It's very sweet that they can make lots of money on something.
People are still going to see these movies, and for me, what I would love to see more of is just a varying of the tone, a bit more between movies, and also not necessarily the approach of throwing every character that you can at every film. Now, I think that it was very interesting to see Wonder Woman be big this year, because I know you're not entirely enamoured with Wonder Woman, but I enjoyed Wonder Woman, and I liked that it was more self-consciously, it was closer to that Richard Donner kind of approach to telling a superhero movie.
Yeah, no, I like the opening act where it's her, and then that's
it was
quite different.
Slightly less glib, wasn't it? And that Marvel glibness, I think, can get a bit wearying, so any opportunity they have now to kind of mix that up, because all that stuff in Doctor Strange when they're making gags about cappuccinos and so on, and the Wi-Fi for the room that he's been putting to train.
I can barely remember that.
A bit wearying after a point. And I didn't like Civil War. I think Civil War was just overloaded and nonsensical, and I don't think it's dramatic when heroes fight each other. I feel like there's no actual
But there are
tension
a couple that are really good. I mean, I really liked the Winter Soldier. I thought was until it falls apart into like a CGI ending.
But Winter Soldier's quite a contained character story. Like, it doesn't want to be all over the Marvel universe. Considering it does all the Shield stuff being corrupt, it keeps its story very focused on Cap, and I enjoyed that a lot more than the sequel. And I liked Ant-Man. I would have loved to have seen the Edgar Wright Ant-Man, but I thought Ant-Man felt funny and fresh and small, and didn't feel too pretentious.
But what he's very engaging is the lead, but the film is straight down the line. The villain's boring. It builds up to an unexciting climax.
I quite like the climax. I like the stuff when they're fighting in the little briefcase, because it just didn't feel like a big sky portal had opened up and lots of aliens were coming out.
I hate sky portal. And actually, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is a Marvel movie, isn't it? And again, that started to lose some of its freshness and the excitement of the first movie.
I wasn't that bothered. And interestingly, again, Wonder Woman has outgrossed Guardians, certainly in the US.
Yeah, a film that carried a lot of goodwill over from the first film, but seems to have in the second one and lost a little bit of that stuff. I don't know. We all go and see them, and it's one of those things where I wonder if we're all just like into the pattern, like, we're like, it's a Pavlovian response that they release one and we just go and see them anyway.
They're into a really interesting phase where you had that moment at the end of Age of Ultron where they gather together the shit Avengers and they say all the big names have gone off and that leaves us, and everybody left the cinema going, they're a bit shit, aren't they?
And cares about Scarlet Witch?
No, exactly. So they've been trying, I think, to set pieces in place for what do we do when we lose Robert Downey Jr., when Chris Evans goes off, and part of that answer is Spider-Man, is Tom Holland. But I don't know if they've quite solved it, because they still obviously feel like they have to put Iron Man into a Spider-Man movie to make it feel Marvel-y. And they haven't. I think there will come a point in a couple of years, probably after Infinity War, where they've lost a lot of that original cast, and you have to say, are we bothered or not? I'm looking forward very much to Thor 3, because I really like the director.
Who's the director?
Taika Waititi. I'm going to pronounce it.
Who directed?
And who did What We Do in the Shadows and Hunt for the Wilder People.
Oh, right.
I
So
really
you'd expect
like.
the tone to be a bit more comic and a bit more open.
And I love the trailer. I love that the trailer is very Flash Gordon-y, and it's it's got Jeff Goldblum and I like Mark Ruffalo as Hulk as well. So.
Yeah. I mean, and you'd also have to say, wouldn't you, that they are better than the DC films
On average, yeah.
On average, even if Wonder Woman has gathered a lot of goodwill, stuff like Batman vs Superman or the first Superman movie.
Oh, much better. Much better.
So you get a consistency and you get a lighter tone, but nevertheless, I think there is that feeling that we really want to be watching 4, 5, or 6 in a couple of years' time. Will they just completely shake it up and just have new Avengers completely? You think, is that what you have?
Well, the fear for me there is I really found Doctor Strange an ordeal. I found like all the origin stuff really boring, and I was so glad in Spider-Man in Homecoming that they skipped the origin and just got straight into it.
Yeah.
My concern would be that if they're having to introduce these new characters like Captain Marvel and any other
Captain Marvel, right? Yeah.
I can't cope with another origin story. I think we're up and running now, and if they're changing the entire cast, there might be a lot of origins to come.
But you did manage to not see Doctor Strange at the cinema. Then you managed to resist.
Yeah, because I just
not leave the house to watch it.
I wasn't moved by it. I didn't feel like Cumberbatch was interesting casting. I think it's quite easy casting, but not interesting, and I just generally found it really boring. And I'm sure they'll do another one. But
I went to see Spider-Man, but was in a bad mood. So there are signs, there are cracks showing here, aren't there? That maybe we're on a journey.
And Spider-Man has inherited that fatigue that viewers had with Spider-Man films.
Yeah.
So it's made more money in the US than Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2. But worldwide, it probably will make a similar, maybe slightly more.
Right.
And considering they put Iron Man in it, it's the big Homecoming, literally.
And the Andrew Garfield films are seen as such a flop, despite actually making a lot of money.
Yeah, I think it will make a similar amount of money probably to Doctor Strange.
Right.
When you would think it would be closer to one of their bigger hitters, to like an Iron Man-y type movie. But maybe that's just a different degree of success.
But they probably have got the guy who plays Spider-Man, and they've got Cumberbatch in essentially human slavery, haven't they? So they probably pay them absolutely nothing, so they can keep making those and keep making a profit.
I think I would. If somebody said, do you want to be a superhero and have that much stability of your career for 10 years. And
do you want to be a superhero?
I'd love to be a superhero. Would you not like to be a superhero?
Yeah, I'd be Wonder Woman.
Would you be Wonder Woman?
I quite fancy Chris Pine, I think. Yeah.
Okay. I know, that's a spoiler. No, I can't say that.
That's a spoiler, He's Captain Kirk.
He's Captain Kirk. That's a spoiler.
So our general feeling is that, what is our general feeling? I personally, if they stopped tomorrow, I wouldn't miss them. But, I have got some entertainment out of them over the years.
They have done amazing things. I mean, when you think about what they've done, they've taken on making the movies themselves, this cross-pollination of the films in the universe, and how many people are trying to copy that and fail. I mean, those are amazing successes, and it's given them huge creative freedom. I just want to see them do more with that creative freedom and mix things up a bit more.
Yeah, people often make the point, don't they, when I think we went to see the first X-Men movie in the 90s, and it was so exciting that there weren't any...
In 2000.
2000, and there weren't any superhero movies, and it was so exciting that it had a budget, it was fresh. And if we took one of these movies back then, we would go, oh, that's really exciting. But the fact that there are so many of them and they're so homogenous, and there's that feeling that they all have to build up to a really tedious CGI climax, has made them, has kind of dulled the effect somewhat. But it sounds like we're going to keep going to see them anyway. So really, it doesn't matter what we say in this video, does it?
I might not see Doctor Strange 2. I might stay at home.
You're promising that now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to see Avatar 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7.
Yes, you are.
So that's my threat. Okay, so our conclusion is, doesn't matter what we think. They're going to make them anyway.
Nobody cares what we think.
Nobody cares what we think.
No. So
let's go and play Laser Quest.
Yeah, let's go play Laser Quest.